Hello, today we are on the third video of the first lesson from data sources introduction. Today we will be focusing on verification steps. In the previous two, we were talking about an introduction of what was big data. Then we saw identification, and today we are focusing on how to verify that information is true, okay, or it's reliable. So let's start. When we are dealing with data coming from several different sources, it's key to verify the quality, veracity, and if it's convenient to use it or not. Okay, because unless we can have bad results or distorted results that allow us to or that drive us to bad decisions, okay, due to that lack of accuracy in the data. So it's important to verify sources in order to have a good data governance or a trust data, and it's helping us to protect company credibility, prevent errors that can cost a lot of money, and also for sure ensure law and compliance. But what's credibility? Credibility is how trustworthy and reputable a data source is. Okay, so for doing that, we should ask ourselves some questions before choosing a data source or rejecting it. Okay, so some of that questions are: who collected that data or who created that data? Is the provider known for accuracy and neutrality, or could it be biased by some interests? Is the methodology documented and it's open to scrutiny? Okay. Is the source maintained and updated? Here we can have some examples of credible data sources that we know that we can trust them. It's like the case of Eurostat, that is the portal from all of the statistics from the European Union. There's also the World Bank has its own data sets that you can use. Orbis, which is from Bureau van Dijk company. They have Savi and Orbis, that they are companies' databases. And that company, if I don't remember correctly, sorry, but I think they are from the Netherlands. Okay? And then one example from Spain, it's the our National Statistics Institute. That's for sure all of you will have an equivalent in your countries. Okay? Then once we know a trustful data source, which is credible to use it, we should analyze the data quality. Okay, if it's consistent, if it's accurate, if it's complete, if there are some missing values, errors, or if it's not as standardized, and we need to change formats or do some processing in that data. Also, if it's updated or if it's new, let's say, okay, in order to avoid outdated information, because using information from 30 years ago in order to analyze today performance, in some cases could be useful, but most of the cases will be useless. Okay, or at least if we are going to see which is our yearly of a yearly growth from our sales department that is selling international, we are analyzing data from, or we should analyze data from the last 2 to 3 years maximum in order to see if we are growing year after year. Okay, but if we are choosing as an error some registers from 10 years ago instead of the third year that we wanted to analyze, it can invalidate even the more sophisticated models, okay, because we are not choosing the right data. Okay, so some questions. Are the values correct and truthful? This means accuracy. Then are any fields missing or null? Okay, there are empty spaces on that data set that need to be simulated or erased or removed. Then are the values uniform? Okay, or there are some mm, potential errors that could be identified due to a lack of uniformity. Okay, and also the timeliness, which is, as I told you before, it's relevant to the time of the analysis. Okay, then veracity. Okay, this aspect is it's true that data. Okay, we should identify misinformations, potential manipulations, or some biases which are driven by hidden interests. Okay, that could distort the data in order to make wrong conclusions in some cases or biased conclusions. Okay, so some aspects in order to some steps in order to check veracity. The first one is to cross-check data against independent sources. Okay? For example, if we are being told that in Valencia region the average weather during the whole year is 30 degrees, okay, maybe it could be true, but we should check it in other weather portals, in the national institutions, in European institutions, in order to see all the statistics and check if it's 30 or if it's 29, if it's 28, or if it's 25. Okay, so if we detect that it's 25 in 5 different independent sources and the source that we are using is saying that it's 30 degrees, maybe that it's wrong because the other independent sources are denying that result or that value. Okay, but if they are everyone moving between 29 and 30 or 30.5, maybe it's correct because there are some deviations depending on the place that has been taking the measures. Okay, so cross-check always data against independent sources. Then we should identify extreme values. Okay, if we are watching, I don't know, the average time spent in a website, which is 20 minutes for everyone, and then there is a record there instead of 20 minutes, which is 1,000 minutes, maybe it's that data it's wrong. We could remove it in order to not impact or not affect the other data. Okay, so unusual and extreme values, we should focus on them and check if they are errors or maybe they are not errors. Okay, maybe if we are watching 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, and then there is one which is 2 minutes, this is completely possible to be true because maybe that person is not interested in our website and it has gone before. Okay, so check unusual or extreme values and validate or if they are errors or not. Okay, then it's also interesting to analyze context. Okay, why was that data collected and by whom? Okay, so for example, now in the conflict of Ukraine and Russia, okay, we could see that I don't know, 10 tanks has been destroyed. Okay, and maybe Russia is telling 10, and Ukraine is telling that not, it was not 10, it was 25. Okay, so we should take that into account of why was that data collected, by whom, and which is the hidden interest of that, if there is a hidden interest or not, or it's just public information. But sometimes the veracity of the data could be wrong or could be manipulated by the source. Okay. Well, and then there are a concept which is called metadata. Metadata is like similar to the logs that I told you in the previous videos. So metadata are like tags or some paths, digital paths that the documents are keeping, okay, containing information about who created that, how, when that data was created, okay, and also some other concepts like the megabytes that they are occupying or the country where it was created. It can contain a lot of data. Okay, some classifications if it's I don't know if it's you're analyzing data from sales. Okay, you can add a tag or a metadata which is related to the country of origin. Okay, or if it's related to date of payment. Okay, there are several metadata that you can use to assess the veracity of the document in order to check how, where, when, by who, which, okay, and a lot of data. Well, then there is the convenience. Okay, it's important to decide either use that data, or if it's not possible, or if we cannot use it, or we don't want to use it. Okay, because not all valid data is useful, and we should in data sometimes we are well we are talking about big data. Okay, so as I said in the first introductory video, volume is key. Okay, so we need a huge amount of data of volume in order to process them and extract meaningful insights and conclusions. Okay, but not all data is useful, and not always more is better. Okay, so in this case, we should be efficient and just use the data that it's related to the projects or our goal and objectives. Okay, so if we are analyzing customer behavior, we don't need probably we don't need reports from the how units it's our machine producing. Okay, so for us, we need to check if that data set is supporting the analysis question, in this case, which is the behavior of a customer and which is the recurrency. Okay, then usability. Can it be processed with the tools that we have in the systems, or it's in another format from legacy software that we are not able to use or to process it? And if that is the case, could we transform it? Okay, could we transform that format to another one which we can proceed and transform in order to prepare it to use it? Okay, and then for sure accessibility. There are some sensitive data which is protected and is just used under license on or under permission. Okay, for example, we can have there is a data set from the national security word that it's saying how many crimes has been occurring in the last 50 years in a specific city. Okay, the data set is there, but most of cases we could not access to that sensitive information unless unless that national guard, its police, it's allowing us to access that data due to a uh, clear purpose for doing some statistics for the university or for whatever reason that you are accessing that information. Okay, but they have to allow you to use it. Okay, it's the same with Statista. It's a website that provides you a lot of statistics, but some of them or most of them you have to pay for accessing that data sets. Okay, so and there are others like the ones that I showed you in the previous slide, which are free to use and to access. Okay? And the last step would be to monitoring, setting up alerts for data anomalies or missing fields, validating external sources at regular intervals, and also use some dashboards to see data quality, automate profiling tools, and version control for datasets. Thanks.